Hello everyone, this is Lye Yosh. Welcome back to Life Study Library. Today we're going to be talking about an activity that you can do right now in order to improve your creativity. Today we're going to talk about how to improve your creativity. Most of our career requires and puts importance and makes us do stuff like be on time, work with teams, serve up to your bosses and make them like you, stuff like these. But notice that all of these and almost everything else that you do in your life, you can make these tasks so much easier and doable if you can become more creative. Like if you're tasked to do a job to, let's say, come up with as many ideas as you can, the more creative you are, the more ideas you'll be able to produce. That's obvious. And those who have trouble with this activity, or those who want to prove themselves to their bosses or anyone that they are a better worker or a candidate for that promotion than the other guy. And it does make sense that in most situations, the more creative you are, the better chance of you becoming successful in whatever endeavor you're in. To people with ambitions like these, allow me to assist you, not exactly in making you more successful in your career, but more towards improving your creativity. See, creativity has served us humans for as long as we lived, and it still greatly helps us. Like, those who were creative enough to make fire were able to defend themselves from wild animals back in the day. And while we don't need to fear that kind of danger anymore, the essence of modern day fire making will greatly help us in life. And this improvement in creativity can be accomplished with a certain kind of task or a certain kind of activity that we can do almost anywhere, anytime. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is true. What do you think this is? Take a guess. Is it stuff like reading books? Or do you think it's exercise? To those who guessed exercise, I'll give you a third of a praise because the answer is small, free movements, like waving your hands or nodding, stuff like these. To put it simply, small, free movements are a must do in order to improve creativity. This is your host, Lye Yosh, and you're watching, or actually, you're listening to Life Study Library. In this channel, I'm going to be talking about these interesting scientific and psychological information by implementing with scientific and psychological studies. So if you're interested, please enjoy this video. And if you want to watch my past and my future videos, then please subscribe to Life Study Library. That'll help me so much, and yeah, thanks for doing that. Now, let's continue with today's video. So today's study is done at the JMU University, and I don't know how to pronounce the actual name of the school, and I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm just gonna call it JMU. And this school, JMU University, they're saying that while exercise has been said to increase your creativity, other, more simple movements can also trigger the same phenomenon. A lot of us probably have experienced where we're sitting in front of our computer trying to, I don't know, like complete a project of some kind or write an essay, which are both things that need creativity to some extent. Our head is toasted and we lose track of what to write, so we stand up, remove ourselves from the screen, and take a breather. Suddenly, an idea pops into our mind, enabling us to successfully complete the project. This is exactly what I mean, and I'm pretty sure all of you who are watching this video have experienced this occurrence and are nodding your heads in agreement. Even in places like Greece 2,000 years ago, people have been talking about the benefits of this activity. And now this study is putting a scientific investigation into why this occurs. And what they have found is that even in a sitting position where a lot of your movements are restricted, even doing small movements while you're at your seat can intensify your level of creativity. And now to the main question. Why does this happen? The answer is written in a study published in a science journal called Psychological Research on 2022 January 8th. So firstly, I'll tell you a fun fact about how people in ancient Greece produced creativity. So, people in ancient Greece, whenever they got stuck on an idea for a project of some kind, they routinely took a walk so that at a certain instant during the activity, some kind of creative thought to do stuff like solve an issue or present a new idea towards things popped up. And plenty of past studies have proven that out of these exercises, taking a walk in particular, more specifically a free walk without a decided endpoint, this will help improve creativity. And this process is also called divergent thinking. And many previous studies have shown that almost any type of exercise, whether that's dance, weightlifting, or cardio workout, will allow the full activation of the brain. But the thing that differentiates free walks from all these exercises is that, in addition to being an exercise, it is free, in which you have total control of where you want to go and where to end or begin, and how this freeness influences creativity. This hasn't been studied very well up until this point, and this whole process stayed a mystery until today's study was conducted. So the scientists in this study grouped the participants into the walking freely group, which, like it says, walked freely, and made the second group walk in a rectangular formation over and over. So the samples were divided into to those who walked with no restriction and those with specific instruction. The study also had a third group of samples who sat freely and a fourth group who were sitting with their attention focused on a phone screen. They probably played games or whatever. And this fourth condition kind of seems random and irrelevant from the study, right? Like, what does being on your phone like related in any way? But if you think about it, this is a very familiar position when we're at work or during an online education for school. We look at screens during this activity. Anyway, the researchers wanted to know how these different conditions affected the participants' divergent thinking or creativity. The results showed that walking freely had the biggest impact on the increase of creativity. So, those of you who walk regularly or jog or run, you're definitely at the right track. But if you only travel on a certain predetermined course, I can only give you half credit. In terms of building creativity, this alone will lessen the potential benefit that you can get. Additionally, creativity can be improved even while sitting, an activity without any major big movements. Even in this position, similar benefits can totally be attained. One thing you might want to look out for is to make sure you are able to move your body to make sure you are able to move your body freely, like a desk and a chair that's not so closely positioned. If you could, I suggest just forget the chair and get yourself a standing desk, so you're always at a flexible standing position and you have more freedom in your movement than when you're sitting. But you don't have to go that far. Just make sure there's some moving space and make sure you're not crammed into that space and uh and and you have some freedom in your movement. Anyways, the results showed that you don't necessarily have to do any sort of dynamic movement like backflips or whatever, but simply being able to move your head, your hands, and your legs compared to stational sitting. These types of movements were correlated with the improvement of your creativity. And now to the next question. How does this happen? How does moving freely connect to creative increase? The researchers claims that movement freedom positively distracts your attention. I'll explain why. So, past research have proven that multitasking, while being a self-help technique trend since like forever, actually decreases your work performance. I'm not going to bother explaining about this because now is not the time to be talking about this. I'll talk about the dark side of multitasking in a later video. So if you want to be notified when that video comes up so you can watch it, make sure to subscribe to this channel. But yeah, anyways, multitasking. While it's inefficient when considering work performance, it is beneficial with intensifying creativity and I'm going to tell you why this happens. So, the reason why multitasking is bad for work efficiency, but good for producing creativity, is because the human brain is inherently unable to perform multiple complex and difficult tasks all at the same time. This means when you try to cook and study for a vocab test simultaneously, your brain cannot process both of these tasks at the same time. Thus, you will be in a state of attention deficit, which disables you from performing either of these tasks at a satisfactory level, and you'll be unsatisfied with the results of both of these tasks. Also, if you're truly so delusional that you really think you can successfully multitask with both of your tasks being a hard and complex task, you should really test it out for yourself. You might be able to do well on the vocab test, but you'll most likely fail on the math test. And that's if you're lucky. In most cases, you'll fail miserably at both the math and the vocab test. Again, I'm not saying that all multitasks are bad. I'm just saying that you gotta pick and choose a certain type of multitasking that is doable and processable to the human brain. Anyways, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so whether it's an effective or ineffective type of multitasking, it is an intense mental weightlifting to your brain, and it causes your brain to kind of phase out, makes it feel drowsy, if you know what I mean. It wears your brain out, so it makes you feel mentally tired. But this unfocused state of mind can also be called another name, a flexible state of mind. The researchers have concluded that this distracted, aka liberated mind allows a great improvement on your creativity. A little side info, but there's also another time of your life that our attention is distracted, but we tend to come up with the novel, interesting ideas, which is when we take a shower or a bath. Many of you probably came up with your new ideas for anything that you're working on while you take a shower. I too have plenty of experiences with this. This is also another ideal time for idea production. So anyways, back to the main topic. Today's study have pointed out that creative movements, including but not limited to dance and or madly flapping your arms like a baby turtle, these activities lead to improvement in creativity. And when compared to simply being stationed, moving around freely distracts you in a good way and allows the increase in creativity to happen. So, when you're distracted, your boss has no right yelling at you because scientifically you are processing complex information and are getting ready to produce creative ideas. You're basically a prime example of a desirable worker. L from the anime Death Note is a good example of this. When the other detectives are arguing and yelling at each other like monkeys, he's usually busy, distracted by eating his sweets. Even that kind of movements, grabbing the fork or knife or moving your hand, picking up your snack, chewing it, and swallowing. These movements are incredibly helpful when trying to be creative. The only fix I give to L is to stand up and walk around more often. Scientifically, that'll improve his work by far. But I don't want to antagonize stationary work too much, because staring at your computer, while it does make you feel less creative, it definitely is a better place to focus when comparing the two. So the main takeaway is for you to put these two on a balance. Which one do you prefer for that specific task? Making creative ideas or a focused work environment? Like if you work on a task while being focused, you will lose the freedom to come up with creative ideas, which might cause changes, whether positive or negative, to the task you're doing right now. So the takeaway for you guys is to choose wisely and understand your work environment situation well. That way you don't make mistakes when you choose to either be productive or creative. In my life, for example, I read while I stand up and I walk around. I started doing this before I even learned about the benefits, as my intention was to reduce the time of me sitting or laying down as much as possible. I'm not going to talk about why I choose to stand up nearly all the time. I'm not going to talk about the reason in this video because I don't want to make the video too long. But anyways, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so my main takeaway for you is if you want to be creative with your task, walk around, move, maybe even show off some dance moves, and if you want to be focused, you can still stand up, but maybe a little less dancing would suffice. It's really up to you and what work you want to accomplish. So the next time your work requires creativity, whether that's writing an essay or coming up with ideas to save the earth, the result of this activity might pleasantly surprise you. So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. And today I have for you a video recommendation for one of my videos, which is called Unconscious Activity That Is Killing You and Cannot Be Improved by Exercise. A lot of things in life are not good for you, unfortunately. And to be honest, many of the things like sugar, salt, toxic friendships and relationships, ideas that claim will make you successful but are actually just toxic. The list goes on. And this particular activity, you might think it's necessary for you to live, and it is a necessity. But the modern people have been doing this activity way too often, so much so that it has become a modern illness. And this activity is, you might have guessed it, is sitting down. I've talked about this very briefly in this video, but you can click the link to another video of mine down in my description. You'll learn extensively why this activity is bad for you. This video is called Unconscious Activity That Is Killing You and Cannot Be Improved by Exercise. The negative effect caused by sitting down cannot be mitigated or improved even if you exercise daily. So that's another dangerous part about sitting. And please watch that, and I promise you that you will enjoy it thoroughly. And now let's talk about the recommended book of the day. Today's book recommendation is How to Change: The Science of Getting from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be by Katy Milkman. Many people, when they attempt to acquire a new habit or quit an old habit, rely on motivation and think that motivation alone can help them when the new activity becomes challenging. They think that they can just say to themselves, I can do it if I try. I can do it if I keep trying. And unfortunately, this method often leads to failure of attaining the new habit and a broken heart. This is because motivation simply is a timely feeling, meaning that they'll only last for a moment, which obviously isn't a good method to use when trying to acquire a habit, something that takes time. So what's the alternative? How are you actually supposed to attain new habits? If you want to know, you can check out this book. Or if you want to know by listening to me talk about it for about 10 minutes, please support me so it can make me think about it and eventually make a couple of videos based on it. And that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching till the end. You've been listening to Life Study Library, hosted by me, Lye Yosh. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.